Hey guys, now let's look at some of the Python's data types. There's a few number of data types like booleans, numbers, string, bytes, but today we'll just discuss about a string and a list. So let's look at a string first. So a string is basically a sequence of Unicode characters. So for example, you want to have a variable name that can hold your name. So now you can access the name object using the variable name. So you could also do help str to find out what are the things you can do with this string object once you create the object. So you can just read through this, and I can show you a few of the functionality you can use. So you can basically just try John like this here, so that just prints it out, but you've got no reference to the John right now because you just printed it out and you can't access it. So yeah, that's another thing to notice. So the variables are not like containers. So when I say A equals to John, so John is not inside A. A is actually a reference to the memory location where John is stored. So yeah, it's really easy to get confused with that. So think of A as just a reference, so you know where John is written in the memory. So that's how you access it. So when you type A, computer remembers the address of the memory, so you just see John on your screen. So for example, what you can do with the string is you can also do A1, and that gives you O. So the index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. So you can just do A and then the bracket and the index. So if we do 0, then you get the first letter of the string. So you can also do A0 to 2. So that should give you from 0 and 1, so it excludes 2. So just hit enter, so you get 0. And now what you can also do is A0, and then you can do 1, and you'll get the full letters, because that is a step how many letters you want to move up to. So we're going one at a time, that means we get the full letter. But what happens is, by the way, you can press Alt P on Windows to bring the last syntax you've typed on idle. So what happens is, now let's change the step to 2. Now you'll see only J and H. O and N will be skipped because we're taking one, skipping the word, the letter in between. So let's hit enter, and we only have J head. So you can think of this as a starting index and the end index, which is excluding, and then the step, how you're going. So that's how you can think of. And now what you can also do is -1. So that gives you the last letter of the string. So now you can do the same thing with A0. Let's just do -1 and nothing else. So you get everything after -1, because we're going in reverse. So you're just getting J or H because that excludes the last index, which is -1. So that's a string. Now what you can also do is, let's say, test computer is really good at computing. Now what I want to do is I want to count how many letter U are in there, so I can just use the variable test and then look for a method for that object. So there's a method called count. You can just use that and pass in the letter that you want to count, and it will actually give you how many times the letter E was used within this string. So you can do similar with the R. So it found it once. You can do double O's, found once, and let's do T just to see it. It's repeated 3 times. So yeah, you can do all that, and also you can do test dot. So let's say, for example, I'll probably just use the test variable ends with. So you can do ing. You got true because the end of the string is ing. So if we do a dot ends with ing, so yeah, that's going to be false because John doesn't end with ing. So this helps you. I mean, the first thing I can think of is finding files with the particular. So if a equals to my file dot txt, and let's say your folder contains all sorts of files, and you can just go for all files in folder and then ends with. So you want to select only the file that ends with the txt version, so you get the text file from that folder only. But I'm pretty sure there are a lot of other reasons you'll use it. Now looking at escape characters, this might be a bit tricky to get your head around, but let's look at this example first. So if you type name A is a Smith, so as you can see we're using these code symbol to write that name, so Python knows this is a string. But what happens if we want to write it's Smiths? So let's look at that. So we need to write A and then Smith. Then we need to write first a backslash. What this tells Python is that now, hey Python, I'm putting a special character in front of it. Please take that as a character for the string, not as a Python symbol. So for example, if we type that in and then S and we close that, now if you type a variable, so you get Smiths, so you can actually type that in. Now that's one example. And also if you want to write 2 lines, a string that prints in 2 different lines, then you need to also use the backslash, but with n, that means new line. Let's look at that. So person's detail equals to name slash n, and then a's slash n, and date of birth. Let's close that. And now if we print person's detail, person person, person's detail, of course I typed that wrong, so name A's and DOB. So you can see the slash n here has worked as a new line, so we get the new line for each of those. And what also you can do is, let's say you need to type in a URL for something, Google homepage. equals to https // now the first backslash is saying I need to type in the next line as a character, so that is my character. I need to type in another 2, so that is my character. These two will help Python understand that these two are the actual backslash I need as a character on my string. So then we'll do www.google.com, and when we hit enter, now you'll notice two different things. Let's access the variable first. You'll see we can still see 4 backslash because this is how we have stored it, and this is where we are accessing the stored variable. But now if you go and print that Google homepage, now you can see we've got 2 backslash. So that's how Python understands this string. That's how it looks at it, but that's how it saves the variable. So that's all about strings for now, guys. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next tutorial.